Hi, welcome back to Deadly Affirmations, the video novel. Today we're going to read the third part of chapter 18. And once again, here's the commercial. There'll be a little link so that you can purchase a copy, if you choose, of this lovely little book at Amazon in either Kindle format or paperback, whichever you prefer. But more importantly, let's get back to the story. Patience is losing her patience. Patience finally got back to her car, got in, turned the key, and began to drive home. On the way, she stopped by a little gourmet grocery. Thinking of Mr. Rothstein's suggestion of aged cheese and sautéed mushrooms, she would skip the Vegemite. She remembered that she had some olives in her cupboard that might be nice, too. Patience bought a wedge of Humboldt Fog goat's cheese, a little jar of not-too-hot kimchi, and a box of button mushrooms. Now for the sautéing. She added garlic, red cooking wine, and teriyaki sauce to her basket. On the way out, Patience was carrying her canvas shopping bag by the handle when a woman pushed past her to get out the door first. It was the woman in the muumuu again who had been pushing and shoving Patience for the past week. The little voice that whispered to Patience said something about push coming to shove, but Patience was so mad that she didn't hear all of it. Weezie had taken a taxi to the senior center and got into a serious game of spades, which later turned into Old Maid. There was some betting of newspaper coupons. Weezie had come prepared, and the morning moved irrevocably toward lunch. At noon, $6 got Weezie a thick slice of grilled ham, a spoon of scalloped potatoes, another spoonful of peas, a tiny tossed salad with a couple of anemic tomato chunks drowned under a slosh of ranch dressing, and a glass of iced tea. For another 50 cents, she got 2 snickerdoodles in a wax bag. She put those into her pocketbook for later. Conversation at lunch mostly involved other seniors decrying the collapse of civilization and some of the women commenting on how cute that Bill O'Reilly had looked on Fox last night. More than one woman mentioned that she thought that he would be a real tiger in the sack. And then thankfully it was back to the card tables for gin rummy, a tenth of a penny a point. Weezie left at 5, 50 cents richer, and took a cab home. Bruno needed to be fed and his cage cleaned. Weezie had read the paper that morning and put the front page in the bottom of Bruno's cage. Today's paper reported no more murders and that little Georgie Lusk's writing talents were relegated to a rehashing of the doings at the school board meeting last night. Weezie listened to NPR on the radio until about 8 and felt so tired that she hustled off to her bed. Tomorrow was Friday and she would have her weekly church meeting. She would need all of her energy for that. Detective Williams did all that he could do with the information he had in both the Umbridge case and the Tomlin case. He struggled to find something new, another way to look at the facts, until 5 o'clock. He gave up for the day and headed over to the Cop Bar and Grill for some dinner and to see if he could think of anything to do for fun away from the job this weekend. Thursday night's special was meatloaf, mashed potatoes, and mushrooms. For dessert, Elliot mentioned a melange of mangoes and muskmelons. Marcel was pretty sure that Elliot was messing with him and almost punched the bartender in the nose when he asked if Detective Williams wanted mustard with the meatloaf. The place was almost empty, and so there was no one to bother him. Williams happily watched the Thursday night reruns, Adam 12. Those two cops might have been married to their jobs. Their almost 50-year-old adventures offered Williams no help in planning his weekend activities. Williams overheard Elliot talking to a customer about recently opening Sporting Clay's facility about 10 miles out of town. That sounded like fun. And Williams had a double-barrel 12-gauge in his collection of guns. He could get some shelves and head out there. It sounded like golfing with a shotgun. Detective Williams finished his meal, paid Elliot, and went home to find his shotgun, clean it, and see how much ammunition he would need to buy. He could search the restaurant reviews online for a local restaurant with good beef and good scotch. This weekend was beginning to sound like it might be a good time, and Marcel Williams needed a good time for a change. Patience finally got home and found a hungry Abraxas. She put her shopping bag and big purse on the kitchen table and took care of the important things first. She filled Brack's water bowl and opened a can of Fancy Feast, dumping it on the plate and putting the plate on the floor for the cat. Then she put the liquor away, leaving the bottle of Baijiu on the counter. She put the groceries on the counter and added a little bottle of black pepper and garlic salt from the cupboard. Then she found her all-clad sauté pan and heated 3 tablespoons of olive oil and 3 tablespoons of butter. While that was getting hot, she sliced a clove of garlic so thin that she could almost see through it and halved the mushrooms. When the oil and butter were hot, she tossed in the mushrooms and garlic, added a tablespoon of the cooking wine and a tablespoon of the teriyaki sauce, a pinch of the garlic salt, and a couple of turns of black pepper, stirring the mixture as she added the ingredients. It took about 5 minutes to brown the mushrooms. Then she reduced the heat to low and let the mushrooms simmer. She set the timer for 7 minutes. As the mushrooms simmered, Patience opened the kimchi and spooned it into a little blue and white porcelain bowl, opened the goat cheese and set it on a board, and placed some whole wheat crackers next to the cheese on the board. She found another shallow bowl, and when the mushrooms were cooked, spooned the little fungi along with generous helpings of the sauce into the bowl. She took the cheese board and then the bowls of the kimchi and the mushrooms, and finally the bottle of baijiu and a tall 2-ounce shot glass she normally used for tequila out into the living room to the coffee table. She looked over her feast and returned to the kitchen for 2 forks. Dinner was ready. Before she started stuffing her face and filling her stomach, Patience searched the satellite radio stations for something fun. She found a British invasion station full of pop and glory and turned it on, loudly enough for the bass to send tremors of bottom through the floor and rattle plates and glassware in the kitchen. Patience had a terrific evening, singing harmony along with Jerry and Freddie and Dave and Herman and Chad with Jeremy, and Ray and Phil and some other guys, and Marianne and Lulu and Scylla and Petula and Dusty. In every few songs she poured herself a shot of the baijiu and chased it with a mushroom, a forkful of kimchi, or a spread of goat cheese on a crisp cracker. She was half in the bag by 8:30 and unable to crawl out from under the table by 10. She woke up on the floor about 2:30 in the morning with Abraxas licking her face. He seemed to like the mushroom sauce as much as she had. Patience took the bowls and board and glass and bottle into the kitchen and put them on the table. As she made her woozy way back through the living room on her way to bed, she turned the radio off and then the lights. When she got to the bedroom, she flopped down onto the big soft mattress and was snoring in a minute.